So when I was asked to speak in a class of high school, like almost graduating girls not too long ago, I was thinking about what is something that's really relevant. What is something that they probably are thinking a lot about. And obviously, I think the most, the first one in their minds would be what they're going to do with their lives once they graduate, where they're going to go. Are they going to go to college? Are they going to find a job? Where are they going to live? Are they going to stay home? There's a lot of questions. And so I had them write down a few things that they want to accomplish in 5 years. So what are some dreams that they had for the next 5 years? And there were some really good ones. A lot of them wrote college. A lot of them had like really good jobs that they wanted. A lot of them wanted to get married, have their own house. A lot of great things. And those are all great dreams, wonderful goals to have. And when I was in high school, I had similar goals and dreams. Like if someone would have asked me in my senior year of high school, I would have said, yes, I'm going to Trinity Baptist College. I'm going to be there the next 4 years. I'm going to study to be a teacher. Once I'm there, I'm going to meet someone that I'll fall in love with, and we'll get married right out of college, and then we'll start our lives together, and everything will be great for the rest of my life. So that's kind of what I had in mind. And it's a good thing to have goals. It's a good thing to have dreams, something to be working toward. I'm all about setting goals and having something that you look forward to. But there's a solid difference between having a goal, having a dream, and having expectations. So if you think about what expectation means, that word, I looked it up in the dictionary, and it says like an assumption, a belief, likelihood, anticipation, and all of those things point to that you expect them to happen, that they're going to come to pass sooner or later, and that pretty much if they don't happen, that you'll be disappointed or upset. So there's a solid difference between an assumption and just a desire you have. So I use this example. If you expect your friend to pick you up and he doesn't show up to pick you up, you're going to be mad. Like, why didn't you show up? If you just would like them to show up and they don't, you won't be as disappointed as if you were waiting, you were watching the clock, and they were supposed to come and they didn't come. So an expectation is something that you really are expecting to happen. So there's a big difference, and if we live our lives just with a bunch of expectations, it's most likely going to lead to disappointment. So like I said earlier, when I graduated from high school, I had all these goals in mind, all these expectations of what my life was going to look like. And when I got to college, everything seemed to be working well. I started my teaching degree. It was all the basic stuff that everyone has to take, and everything seemed to be going well. And then my sophomore year, I started dating a guy, and everything was looking great. It was pretty much what I had in mind in the timeline I had. And so it looked like my expectations were going to come to pass. But probably, I think it was right before my junior year, I realized something that kind of affected what my expectations were. I started doing more like practicums, like observations in my teaching classes, and I realized that I really hate teaching. I really didn't want to be a teacher anymore. I hated the idea of having to prepare every day, go in and teach 7 hours long. I don't really like to talk that much, and that just seemed like miserable, making kids who don't want to be there listen to me. So that summer I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. Why should I put myself through all this when I'm going to hate this job if I get it? And I have the highest respect for all teachers. Honestly, like, they have such a hard job, and I think it's a great job, but it's just not something I would do. And so I'm just not that patient and not that sacrificial to give up my lives for teaching. So anyway, my junior year, I finally decided to just switch majors, I decided to just do interdisciplinary for then, and just kind of figure out what I want to do as I'm doing that. And I always knew I wanted to be a writer. I never really had faith in that, but I decided that maybe I could pursue that. Maybe that's something I could do. But anyway, interdisciplinary doesn't really get you a specific job once you graduate. I didn't really have a direction. Writing doesn't pay the bills right now, so I had to find something else. And so I was kind of lost. I didn't really know where I was going to end up, and once I graduate, what I was going to do. So that kind of threw a damper into my whole plan. But I was like, okay, well, keep going. We'll figure it out. And then the summer before my senior year, my boyfriend, who I thought everything was going pretty well with, he said, well, Nancy, I wanted to let you know, don't expect that we're going to get engaged anytime soon. I still have things I want to work through, and I just don't know if this is it. And anyway, he said all these things, and I just was like playing it cool, like, okay, whatever. But inside I was like, okay, well, now what am I going to do? My whole career was over. And now my future husband, didn't even know if he wanted to start a life with me. So I was scared. I was alone. I felt alone. I felt like as soon as I graduate, I'm going to just not know what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to have no life. And it was scary, and I was upset, and I was hurt, and I didn't know what was going on. And honestly, it's worked out since then, most of you know, but at the time, I was just really broken because I had these really high expectations for myself in my life. So all that to say, expectations can be really harmful if you aren't willing to be kind of flexible and not put all your hopes and dreams into that thing that you want. So expectations can hurt you. It can hurt other people as well. You can put very high expectations on other people that will eventually ruin your relationship. And for my example, I had a lot of arguments with my boyfriend at the time because I just had all that expectation that he's going to do this, he's going to propose, and we're going to get married. And I had all these things, and he wasn't fulfilling them because he didn't have the same ideas I did. And that really hurt my relationship. But it could hurt all kinds, like friendships. I've lost friendships because I had high expectations. It could hurt some relationship that hasn't even started yet. You know how guys always complain about how girls can be really clingy. And I think that clinginess comes from a lot of expectations that the girl will have for the guy. She can expect him to always be there when she needs him, to never talk to other girls, to always text him back, and all these things. And this poor guy is like, I didn't sign up for this. I just wanted to hang out. And all of a sudden he has all this burden on him of things he has to do. And we can place this burden on people without them even knowing. We can have, if someone does something really nice for us, we'll be happy. But if someone says something nasty, then all of a sudden your day is ruined and you're just down in the dumps. And we can put so much stock into this one person that when we are disappointed, our lives feel like they're over. So it is so important to know the difference between an expectation and just what we would desire from someone and from some situations. And we can have expectations not just toward other people or situations. We can have really high expectations toward ourselves. So if you think about just different expectations you can have personally, like if you're in high school or college, you can have really high expectations of grades that you want to get, or how well you want to do, what kind of school you get into. You can have expectations toward your looks, how you look. You want to be so many pounds, or you want to have flawless skin. I don't know. You can have all kinds of expectations toward yourself, and that's a burden that you'll put on yourself and you'll have to carry. And You can get rid of people. People come and go. They'll not always be around, but you can't get rid of yourself. And so if you're constantly disappointed in who you are, that's going to tear apart your life. That's going to make your life miserable. For me, when I was in high school, I had this burden of trying to be perfect, trying to live up to everyone's expectations and try to not let anyone down. And that was a really heavy burden to carry for so long. I just couldn't open up to other people because I thought that if I let them know I was messed up, if I had bad thoughts or whatever, I thought that they would be disappointed. And so there's no way I could tell that to them because they thought I was so good. They thought I was always great at everything. And I was lonely. I was scared. I thought that I would never be as good as I thought I needed to be. And it took me a long time to realize that I did not have to live that way. I realized that people still loved me for who I was, even if I screwed up and let people down. I realized that God doesn't expect me to be this way. He didn't plan for me to be perfect. And some of the most encouraging verses in the Bible for that specific thing is, I believe it's 2 Corinthians, I don't remember the passage, but anyway, it's a very famous passage. It's where Paul had this thorn in his flesh, this thing that he really wanted to get rid of, that he was so upset about. And he kept begging God, take this away, I don't want it anymore. And what did God say to him? He said, my grace is sufficient for you. My grace is enough for you because my power is made perfect in your weakness. And all that means is that God's strength shows up when we can't handle something. If we're perfectly strong and powerful and we can do everything, why do we need God? We need God when we're broken, when we can't handle a situation. And God wants that. He wants us to need him. He needs us to run to him when we need something. And he won't always take every flaw away. He won't make you perfect once you're saved. You need to work for it. You need to constantly be renewing yourself and getting better. And you're always going to have mistakes and you're always going to mess up. And on this earth, you'll never be 100% perfect. But that's not what God wants you to be. He wants to form you and he wants you to run to him when you need him. And that's so encouraging that God doesn't have this expectation toward you that you might have for yourself. Another verse that I really love is similar. It's in Ephesians, and it's talking about that we're saved by grace through faith in God. And it's not of any works that we do. It's not of anything that we can personally do in our lives to make us better. It's just from God, and we're doing nothing. All we're doing is accepting the gift that he's given us. And it's nothing that we can boast about because we aren't doing anything. And I think that's so cool because that takes that pressure off of us to always have to do everything perfectly and always have to have the perfect life that you dream for yourself. And if we understand God's grace, if we understand what he's done for us, we won't be upset. We'll be thankful. We'll be humbled by what he's done for us. So once we accept God's grace, once we understand who he is, we can give ourselves grace and we can forgive ourselves when we don't live up to our big, glorious standards. We can move on. We won't be disappointed. We'll just do better the next time. And the same, once you're good with yourself, once you've accepted what you are, then you have that freedom to accept other people and forgive them when they hurt you. Because you'll understand that they're humans too. They mess up. We all make mistakes. And you make mistakes too. So you'll have that grace to forgive others. And so it's an inward thing. Once you change yourself, you'll be able to change toward others. And you'll be able to understand how good God is toward us. So I just want you to I challenge you to think about do you have any expectations? Do you have anything that you really feel that your life won't be complete if you don't do it? And evaluate that. Is your life dependent on something happening or someone being there or whatever? If so, you might have to change that. You might need to pray and just ask God to be the one that you put all your hopes in, because God won't let you down. Everyone else is imperfect and is a sinner, and no matter how much they try, they will let you down. But God won't. He's perfect. He loves you. He'll always be there. So put all that trust and faith in Him and not in other people, other circumstances. And then I'm not saying to give up all your dreams and be like, well, it doesn't matter because I can just live a good life, whatever I do. No, you should have dreams and have goals, but you shouldn't put all your stock into that thing. If it doesn't work out, God has something better for you. Like it didn't work out in my life. I still don't really know where I'm going to end up. I work at a credit union now and I really enjoy it, but it's not like my lifelong dream. I'm still writing, but I haven't like become so world famous or whatever. But I'm still working on it. Thankfully, I am engaged now, so that's a blessing. But who knows where we're going to end up. And I know that God had this great plan for me that wasn't what my plan was. And He can do good, form good out of any situation. So I'm trying to trust Him, and I'm excited to see what He will do in my life. And I'm excited to see what He'll do in yours. So feel free to share if you have any stories or any big moments in your life. And just pray about those expectations you have and try to turn those into desires and dreams.